Hello, everyone. I am your host, Amanda Tento, and I am excited to be here. Let me know if you can see me. I just want to make sure that you can see and hear me okay. So just let me know in the chat if you can that you can see me, and then we can go ahead and get started. And awesome. Thanks, Danielle. And I do want to apologize for my voice. It is a little hoarse because I had a little health incident about 9 months ago. So it is still not quite recovered from that, but I'm very excited that you're here. And I'm really excited to talk about how we can influence the cannabis industry and increase profits, increase everything with Google Business Profile. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. All right. So this webinar is called Puff Puff Profit because we are going to unveil the secret technique to attract local clients. Cannabis is all about local. And so we're going to focus on using Google Business Profile to grow your dispensary. And I am Amanda Tento, and I am the owner of TDM Marketing and Mary Jane Marketing. So we will talk about that a little bit later. But before we get started, I want to make sure that you've entered to win the drawing to win a complete Google Business Profile optimization. Danielle is going to put the link to that in the chat. If you haven't already, go ahead and enter. And I do want to make a little disclaimer about regulations and functionality of Google Business Profile because every state is different, every jurisdiction is different. And so your profile and your functions may be different than what we're going to look at today. You may have more functions than other people. If you are a multi state operator, you may have less functions in one state, more functions in another state. So we're going to kind of go through that. And then you can enter your questions in the chat, or there's actually a little Q&A section that has two little like talk bubbles there. You can enter your questions there, and we're going to talk about them at the end. So let's talk about first the challenges of the cannabis industry. They are many. I really don't have to go over this because you all know this. There are really no standards, like we just said, from state to state, from city to city. There are different regulations. As we move forward to either descheduling or um, rescheduling, hopefully there will be more standards industry wide. Hopefully, Google will eventually allow ads, Facebook, all that stuff. I know Twitter does allow limited ads for cannabis, but Google generally follows federal guidelines when it comes to cannabis advertising, and also Google Business Profile, all of those things. Multi-state operators also, they have different rules for every state. So if you have multiple locations and multiple dispensaries in different states, it's a little more challenging for you because you're going to have one set of rules for this dispensary, one set of rules for this dispensary. Among the 31 states, and this is all from the University of Buffalo, that did allow some form of cannabis advertising, 74% explicitly prohibit targeting or appealing to minors. So we're going to go over some rules of thumb to keep you unsuspended, to keep you in the green zone of Google in a minute. But definitely making sure that you are not appealing to minors is great. And also, 68% of those prohibit you from making false or misleading claims. Just over half of the states have restrictions on where advertisements can be placed, and 42% have restrictions on building signage. So you guys are like the most restricted industry as far as marketing goes. That is why I love helping people in the cannabis industry, because it is my passion to help anyone that is being underserved in some way. So the three best ways to stay in the safe zone for Google: no out-of-state marketing. Let's say you live on I'm trying to think, I think Kansas City is kind of like in Missouri and in Kansas. I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say you're like right on the borderline, or even Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. They're basically like the same city just across the river from each other. So if you're just putting in like a radius for marketing, that's not going to fly. You need to use zip codes. And that's why it's really important to make sure that you're only marketing in your state. So that way Google doesn't ever suspend you. You also want to make sure, obviously, you're not targeting underage customers. This is kind of, you already know this stuff, but, and then also avoid making those claims that say, heals or, all of those things, any medical claims or any beneficial claims. What is Google Business Profile? I'm sure that you all know what it is. You probably have one. If you don't, you need to get one today. But it's basically a public directory listing that Google started offering in June of 2014. It was a way for them to make the maps listings more accurate, and they eventually allowed business owners to edit their own information. What's happening is they thought they knew the hours, they'd put them on there, people would show up, and that they were closed. And so then people would get mad at the business owner or whatever. And then the business owner would get mad at Google and say, hey, that's not really accurate. This is not what's going on. So they made it something that you can edit as a business owner. And now it is what I consider to be the most powerful tool for business owners to use to show up on both Google Maps and in search. Who is Google Business Profile for? It is for most businesses that serve local customers. Not all businesses, but most. This is the anatomy of a search view of Google Business Profile. So you can see on this view, the main difference between this view and what I'm going to show you next, which is the maps view, is that on the search view, you're going to be able to see your description. So you can see right here, the description shows up. These are what we call updates, and I'll talk about those a little later. On my listing, I'm allowed to have products and also services. So you will not be able to have that as a cannabis business, but you will be able to make updates if you are in a location that will allow that. The map view is pretty much the same. It gives a little bit more detail into the reviews, but it also hides the description. So that's not on here unless you click over to About. These are really important, and we're going to talk about these a little later. LGBTQ friendly, identifies as women owned, especially in your industry, making sure that you're giving your potential clients or potential customers the information that they need to decide, okay, do we want to go here? Do we want to go there? Why do you need a Google Business Profile? Everyone needs one because 79% of global desktop searches take place on Google. In 10 countries, more Google searches take place on mobile than in desktop, and that includes the US and Japan. Huge numbers. These numbers are going to probably either, unless you're, up on your SEO or marijuana dispensaries, you're going to be pretty surprised by how many searches there are per month. These are monthly numbers. So we have 125,000 for the exact keyword of marijuana dispensary near me, 193,000 for recreational dispensary near me, 1,090,000 for dispensary near me. And then overall, there is a huge pool of thousands of keywords that are related to the dispensary and marijuana industry, cannabis, CBD, all of that. And there are about 9.4 million monthly searches, and that is only in the United States for these keywords every month. So if you're not using Google Business Profile to tap into these people that are searching, you are definitely missing out on customers. Really, really important. So this is what current search results look like. This shows you what it looks like when you search for a dispensary in Baltimore. And you can see the little map. And then it shows you Google Business Profiles. This is all Google Business Profiles. Really important to be here. There are many changes that have gone into Google Business Profile. And I actually just found this week some really cool, exciting new ones that I'm going to tell you about. And I was actually like, finally, they did this. Took forever, but Google is always making changes. So that's one thing that you can be certain of is that there's always going to be a change of some sort with Google. One of the cool things that they have just started is you can actually sort by rating. Now, this is kind of cool. And if you have bad ratings, kind of not cool, right? So you can sort by the ratings right on the search engine results page. What sort means you just click here, this little thing comes up, and if I want a 2.0 dispensary, I don't know why I would, but I'm going to click that. But most people are going to click 4.5 and up. If you don't have a 4.5 rating, you're probably going to miss out on a lot of customers, right? So you want to make sure that you have a 4.5 rating. If you're like, oh, I have a 4.0 rating and I have like 50 ratings, you need to get a ton more reviews, right? So that is really, really important. We'll talk about that too in a minute. The other thing that you can now do, which is another reason why it's really important to make sure that your hours are always up to date, is you can literally sort by when the dispensary is open. So is it open right now as you search? Like, that's really cool. Is it open 24 hours? Is it open on any of these days? People are planning, people, when they're going to run out or know when they have friends coming or whatever it is. And they want to know when it's open. And if your hours are not correct or you don't even have them filled out, you're missing out on people. This is what I consider to be the coolest update of recent time. And this actually now allows you to add your social links. So you can see it allows you to add LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. This was not possible even like last month. And so before, Google would actually kind of like search the internet and try to find your listings, and it would pull in whatever you had, but it had to be the same exact name as your dispensary or your business. And it would pull it in, which was great, but it might not be 100% accurate and it would pull everything in. So now they're allowing you to do this. So definitely do this because anytime you're connecting anything online, you're getting more traction, you're getting more mm, everything. I would call it like SEO link juice. You're kind of linking everything together. You're creating a spider web of information for Google to find you online. Another thing that has changed recently is that they now have the API maps interface like linked in Google Business. So what that means is you can actually add a map of your listing to your website by just clicking this try it now button. It's actually much easier than it used to be. So before you'd have to like actually know the Maps API interface and go in and do all of those things. However, now it's like so much easier. So this is actually right inside of your Google Business Profile. So if you have one dispensary, you should have it on there for sure. If you have multiple dispensaries, you should have a website for each dispensary on your main website and have the Maps API little square map embedded in your page for each of those. That's going to give Google even more signals that, hey, this is, my website. This is where we are. And so if people are looking on your website, they can just click and get directions right to your um, business. Messaging is not really super new, but it's kind of new. Messenger or customers can send you messages and ask questions similar to Facebook Messenger or your website chat feature. And they've actually updated this. You can enter your cell phone number and it will send you a text message letting you know that you have a message, which is great because even though it comes through as a Maps notification on your phone, you might miss it. You might think, oh, it's just like some random whatever. But it's really important to make sure that you're responding to these and you're responding in a timely manner. I would say even if it's spam, just say, no, thank you, or whatever, just so your response rate is stays up there, kind of like Facebook Messenger as well. Call history. Some people have access to this. And so what it will do is it will actually show you a list of numbers that have called your business from Google search or Google Maps. And you will be connected to that through a forwarding number. A questions and answers. Now, this is an extremely important part of your listing, and it's very, very neglected usually. And what happens is people can go on and ask questions about your business, right? What I always recommend is that you go on and you ask the most commonly asked questions yourself and then answer them yourself. What this is going to do is it's going to make sure that the information is accurate and it's not just being answered by any old Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street. And it's going to allow you to get the right information out there and also show people that you care about what's out there, etc. If a question comes in, try to be the first one to answer it. So then that way that information is accurate. Call history. Oh, weird. Oh, I went backwards. The call history features. Not all businesses have access. They do store the data for about 45 days and it shows the customer's actual number. Voicemail does count as an answered call. So if it goes to voicemail, it's going to count as answered. Verification changes. There have been a lot of updates, thank goodness, and improvements in the Google verification process. It used to be a little postcard you'd get in the mail. You'd have to wait 5 days. Many people wouldn't get it. It was just super cumbersome process, and they actually had a ton of fraud through that. So they've actually created new ways to verify with text and email and actually created a profile this week. And I didn't even have to do anything to verify, just said verified. So that was kind of nice as well. Probably because I have 70 listings in my email, tied to my email, and all of them are verified and none of them are suspended. So it's probably just like, yeah, that's fine. Accessibility change. So last year, the Google Business app no longer is active, right? So now you just go onto Google Maps and you go to settings, and then you can access any of your listings from directly from your Google Maps on your phone. That's the easiest way to do it. And one search, you actually just type in your business name, and if as long as you're logged into that email, it's going to come up with your management right there in the search. So much easier. You don't have to go searching for how do I log in and how do I get to my profile to make changes. Again, the Google Business app does not work. The computer app access probably doesn't work either. But accessing it through search on the computer and maps on your phone is the easiest way. With larger businesses that have multiple locations, you will be able to manage it from the application, but it should be Google Maps application that you should be able to just click on that. It just depends on your business, and they kind of aren't consistent with that across the board. So let's talk about best practices for the cannabis industry. This is going to be really important because cannabis industry listings are slightly different, like I mentioned in the beginning, than regular, just any old business. Now, all business listings, depending on the category, are different. So, a restaurant is going to have menus that they can select. Um, Online businesses are going to have online meeting appointments. You can make reservations, things like that. So, all businesses have slightly different functions, but for the cannabis industry, it's definitely a lot different. The first and most important thing for cannabis businesses is to make sure you're using the correct category. This is probably the number one reason why listings get suspended. And people are like, I don't understand why my listing is suspended. I'm a CBD store, so I marked it as vitamins and supplements. Well, that is going to go against Google's terms. So you want to make sure that you're marking it as a cannabis store or cannabis club, whichever you fit into. And all of these other categories are going to be incorrect for your listing. Don't use cannabis users in photos. So someone smoking, someone doing anything, don't actually use those types of photos. So that's going to be a big no-no, and that will get you suspended or get those photos deleted, probably suspended, because it's a pretty serious violation of Google's terms. Make sure that you're posting lots of photos of the inside of your shop, the outside of your shop, and also your team. Posting any kind of fun photos of any of those things is going to get you a lot of traction, and it's going to make people look at your shop as being more friendly. You can post these as updates, and then you can also post them into your photos, just drop them into your photos. And what happens is your updates don't actually go into your photos. So that's two separate things. So if you want them to be permanently existing on your profile, you need to actually put those photos into the photo folder, photos and videos section. This is a very, very important thing. You want to ask for reviews from every customer. 97% of all people read a review before they choose a product or a service. That includes a location. So people are probably researching all of the dispensaries around them. Um, every day, there are new cannabis users, there are new medical users, everything. So you want to make sure that you're the top of the search results, right? And you want to make sure you have a lot of reviews and that they're very good reviews as well. And I want to go back to this because the dispensary in my area is a medical dispensary. And they actually give an incentive to the bud tenders of like $50 if someone mentions their name in a Google review. I think this is a great process. However, I can never leave another review, right? So I left a review for my bud tender, and now I can't leave a review for another person because I've already left a review for him unless I have a different email address. So just keep that in mind as you're creating a process for reviews. The more reviews you have, the higher your ranking. So the keywords in the reviews help Google to understand your business and services. And the keywords in your review response actually do the same thing. So over time, more reviews are going to help you rank even higher than just with SEO on your website. I want to go over quickly the top 3 ranking factors on Google. The first one is Google Business Profile. The second one is Google Reviews. And the third one is your website. So you want to make sure that all of these things are in excellent shape. You're using them to their highest power and that your website is optimized as well, because all of this ties in together. Google kind of considers them, there's a million ranking factors, not a million really, but there's a ton of ranking factors that changes all the time. But the top 3 are those 3: business, reviews, and your website. So just make sure that you're taking care of all 3 of those things. You should be golden. Make sure that you respond to all of those reviews because your responses. So let's say someone just leaves you a rating, right? Sometimes they just leave a star. They don't even want to like bother with the text review. That's fine. But what you can do when they leave just a star rating is you can go in and say, thanks for visiting our cannabis dispensary in Baltimore. We had a great time seeing you. Can't wait to see you again next time, right? Something generic like that. But you don't even know who the person is, probably. If you do, you can make it more personal, but definitely use keywords in your responses because it's going to make a difference. This is just a housekeeping tip that I have for everyone because it is a huge issue that I've seen across all industries. Someone, let's say a manager creates your listing for your dispensary. A manager moves on to a different place, moves on to wherever. It's tied to their personal Gmail account. That's not good. Make sure that you are an owner on your listing and then invite yourself as an owner on every Gmail address you have. I don't care if it's your personal email address. I don't care if it's business. Every email you have, you can invite your spouse to be an owner. That way you never lose access. It's really, really important. Another thing is that if someone wanted to claim your business, and this can happen I could go on and claim your listing and say, there's a little tiny thing that says, do you own this business? And I could say yes. And then it's going to send you an email and it's going to say, so and so wants access to your business. You have to approve it or deny it. But if you don't respond within 30 days, I can get access to your listing. So make sure that you have complete access of all of your listings. Post regular updates if your listing allows. So not every state and not every dispensary is going to be able to do this, but it's really, really important that if you have this feature, you're doing it at least 3 times a week. For our clients, we always make sure that we do 3 updates per week. We geotag the photos. We add a keyword rich description talking about whatever's in the photo, whatever's going on, and also the location. That's going to be really important as well. There are, I think, 6 different buttons that you can use. One is shop now. One is book, call. I can't remember all of them, but there's a lot of different buttons. And you can also add promotions too. So those are really helpful. And it will allow you to really get traction on your listing and on growing your business on Google. This is so important. And I can't even stress how important this is because it can really take you from like struggling to excelling if you do things correctly. Geotag your photos to a nearby place that your customers frequent. For example, a bar. It could be a shopping mall. It could be anywhere that your customers frequent. And it's going to allow you to give Google some behind the scenes information. Some people think Google strips this information. Some people don't. There's no real, actual, accurate information out there as to whether they do or not. But it's always better to do this. I would also recommend doing this for your website photos as well. So you want to make sure that your name, address, and phone number or your NAP is consistent on all of your listings. Facebook page, um, Google business page, Instagram, wherever you have a listing, including things like cannabis listing, cannabis directories like Leafly and Weed Maps. These are really important because as long as your name and address and phone number are consistent, Google is going to consider you more legitimate. This is what we were talking about at the very beginning. Your buyers are selective. You want to make sure you're giving them the info that they want. They want to know what types of payment are accepted. And many people can't accept any type of credit card transaction. So most businesses or dispensaries are cash based. However, a new customer, someone that's never been to a dispensary, doesn't know that, and they might go looking for that information. If you have that on your website or on your Google business listing, it's going to make it easier for them to feel comfortable when they come for the first time. Is your dispensary wheelchair accessible? Um, do you offer pickup or delivery? Are you closed on holidays? It's very important to make sure that all of these things are accurate. And for our clients, we'll actually go all the way out through the next year. We usually do about 2 years of holidays. So that way they're all finished and you don't have to think about it ahead of time because those things sneak up on you. Google might send you a reminder email. They might not, but it's really important that you make sure that you're managing that properly. So your potential clients, potential customers, I mean, don't show up and get angry because you're closed when they thought you were going to be open. Who owns your dispensary? This is a really important aspect of your listing as well. Is it woman owned, veteran owned, Black owned, Latino owned, Asian owned, or LGBTQ plus owned? There are so many options that you can choose from here. I will say that there are a lot missing, but at least they're starting to get some more. It used to be only veteran and woman owned, like way back when they first started this. So they're continuing to add more selections, but people, make decisions with their money. And if you're giving them all of the information that they need in order to make those decisions, you're going to get more clients, more customers through the door. And the last one is, are you LGBTQ plus and transgender friendly? That's going to be an important one to mark as well. Here are some samples of results that we've gotten as a marketing agency for our clients. This one is a really, really staggering example because this is actually an attorney, and they reached out to us because they were about to close their doors because they just hadn't had any business. It's just a small family law practice, and they needed to try one last thing because all of the marketing that they had done so far hadn't worked. So, in the first 3 months of managing their listing and optimizing it, we got them these results. So, huge, huge, huge. And you can see this was basically June, July, and August of this year. Huge increases. They got 135 requests for driving directions, 23 phone calls, and 73 website visits. So those are the things that I look at as the actual metrics that you should be looking at because that's where the money comes from, right? So for you, you're probably going to rely heavily on direction requests and website visits. And I don't know how many phone calls you probably get, but I'm assuming it's less than direction requests and website visits. So those are the metrics that I would track for you. The reason that I'm showing you these three types of businesses is because they're all extremely high competition industries. Legal industry, there are keywords out there that you could pay over $100 to get one call for, right? So we were able to get this client 23 phone calls for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost to run ads for that. Chiropractor. This is also an extremely competitive industry. We were able to, in the first 5 months, increase the reviews by 173%. We increased our website visits by 60%, phone calls by 50%, and direction requests by 60%. This client is in their third year of working with us, so we've actually done a lot more than this since then, but I just wanted to share with you kind of how quickly those results can come in. This is an optimization only. The real estate industry is also very saturated, very competitive, and this realtor is actually in the greater Boston area. So, very competitive market. And this is for an optimization only. So, it's just going in, making all the changes to the profile, making sure that everything is accurate. And we were able to get a 75% increase in the first month after the optimization of website visits and a 42% increase, 43 technically, for direction requests. So these are really important metrics to track. So I want to talk about what you, as a dispensary owner or ancillary business, I know we had an insurance broker signed up, some different types of businesses signed up that are not necessarily cannabis, but you might benefit from this presentation and really understanding what you should do next. It may seem like this is unrelated to Google Business Profile, but it's actually very important that you have your Google Analytics set up. Make sure that it's collecting data. Your old analytics, which would be the universal analytics, so if you remember, it was like UA and then a number, that stopped tracking on July 1st. If you haven't replaced it, you're missing out on a bunch of data. And this type of data is really important because it allows you to understand of what what kind of first impression you're making on people. Are they leaving your page right away, right? You can figure out exactly where your users are coming from. Are they coming from another website? Are they coming from Google Business Profile? Are they coming from organic search? Are they coming from social media? You're able to see all of that. You can also see where you rank in the search engine. You can set goals. You can learn about your keywords that are actually bringing people to your website. You can also study your competition, make decisions about which social media to target. And I tell you, that one is huge because people put so much effort and energy into social media, and what they actually get in return is like so minimal that I always just tell people, like, just stop doing that because you're wasting so much time. And the reason for that is because I have a client, actually, I just went over her analytics yesterday because I do analytics management for her. And she, like, they literally get like 1% of the clicks from their website or to their website from social media. So I'm like, you can think about, do you want to continue having a social media manager managing that, or do you want to reallocate those funds to something that's going to be more lucrative, like Google Business Profile? But um, you want to determine what to offer next. So seeing all of this data is going to allow you to make informed decisions about, what you need to do and what you can offer next and what people are really responding to, what they like, which web page are they staying on longer, what product are they looking at the longest. That's going to be really important for you to know. You can also book a free Google Maps GeoGrid report review. So if you look at this, this is telling us what this where this business is ranking, right? So on Google Maps, they're ranking number 1, but it's only like right where their business is. They're kind of ranking number 2 a little bit north, but our goal is to get you all of these green. We want you to be like the number 1 in all of these. Um, so then that way, no matter where people are, you're gonna show up. Um, this is a really big radius, so it's gonna be a little bit harder, but um, for a dispensary and for someone that's local, but this is an example of a roofing contractor, but definitely important and definitely worth taking a look at and seeing where you fall. And in this report, you also get a list of the competitors and who's ranking, right near you. And that way you can see where you're starting from and where you go from there. You are going to get an email after this presentation with the recording, and you're also going to get a copy of the slides. And that slide have these links in there so you can go ahead and book this. And what happens is you just get on a call with me, 15 minutes, and very short, very sweet. We're going to go to my tool, enter your business, and then pull the reports. You can ask any questions you have within that 15 minutes, and then that's it. If you want to know how your website is functioning, I just included this last minute because some people might not know where to go to get that information. So if you click here, you can actually go get a really quick, fast, easy audit. You just enter your email and your website URL to get that audit. I also am including a free gift for you. This is a step-by-step blueprint of how to set your dispensary up with not Google, with Apple Business Connect. And this is basically Apple's new version of Google Business Profile. It came out in January and it replaced the old Apple Maps kind of listings. So if you were formerly listed on Apple Maps last year, you're going to want to go ahead and start this process again, claim your listing, and make sure that you have control of it. Very similar to Google Business Profile, somebody else could claim it. So you can go ahead and click this when you get this PDF, and you're going to be able to download that blueprint. And it literally walks you through every single step. So you don't have to consult anyone. You're going to be able to just walk through that and do it yourself. Accidentally clicked on it. So I want to tell you a little bit about TDM marketing, and we have been doing Google Business Profile services, SEO, review generation, and web design, and also marketing strategy for 6 years. And our clients, on average, get to the top 3 on the Google 3 pack within 6 to 9 weeks. And they see revenue increases of 20% in that period. And the reason for that is because when you're in that top 3 on the map pack, You're going to be the one that's getting the calls. You're going to be the one that's being selected. And so it's really, really quick way as opposed to SEO, which is also important, but it's a longer game. SEO takes about 3 to 6 months to start seeing those results. And Google Business Profile definitely takes a lot less time. 6 to 9 weeks is when you can expect to start seeing some results from that. A little bit about me. I am the host of the Determined Mom Show podcast and also a new podcast called Healing Medical Trauma. I am married to my husband, Bertrand. We have 3 girls and 1 boy, and I'm very passionate about helping underdogs. So, one segment of my business, which is the Determined Mom Show, is geared towards helping mom business owners to get started, giving them resources, and just helping them in general. Another aspect of my business is helping cannabis businesses. I'm all about helping the underdogs. Another fact is that I finished my bachelor's degree at 39. And another reason that my passion for the cannabis industry has been reignited is because in December, I almost died while giving birth to our 4th baby, which is the little boy. And since then, I've also developed rheumatoid arthritis. And doing some research and researching and doing all this stuff and going back to the medical cannabis, um, it's really reignited my passion for helping this industry to reach as many people as possible. I want to share with you this slide because this has access to everything. So you can check out the podcast, you can check out our Mary Jane marketing website, TDM Marketing, our YouTube channel, Facebook, TikTok, and get in touch with me on LinkedIn if you aren't already. What you can expect after this is you're going to check your email. You're going to have a replay, copy of the slides, and links to all of the resources are going to be in that copy of the slides. So that PDF is going to contain all of the links for everything that we talked about today. And we have also a special offer for you. Any dispensaries that want to use our services to increase their reach and get more customers are going to get $100 off of any of their packages. And all you have to do is use code Puff Puff on your invoice when you get to that portion of the sign up. So that is also all included in there. And this is going to be valid for the first 5 dispensaries that sign up. Now we have question and answer time. So, does anyone have any questions? See if Danielle has any questions over here. No questions? Anybody? You can put them in the chat. Trying to organize my screens here a little bit. It's kind of challenging to look back and forth from all these different places. So I'm going to minimize that so it's a little bit easier. Um, if you don't have any questions, then I would love to do the drawing if we have some time here. Oh, okay. Danielle says there is a question. Give me 1 minute to access this question. If I can find it myself here. All right, Danielle, let me find. Okay. How do you adapt to hemp or CBD clients versus cannabis dispensaries? So that is a great question because hemp and CBD are slightly different, but technically they're still considered cannabis. And you're still going to make sure that they're using the correct category for that. Because if they're not, there's a very high chance that they can be suspended. I talked to someone that's opening a CBD dispensary recently, and They created their listing and automatically got suspended, right? So I did not get back to them. Like we didn't have a further discussion because they didn't get back to me. But I asked like, okay, what category are you using? And my assumption is that they're using one of those categories that we went over that is not correct, right? So you can, and I'm gonna say this. It's up to you. You can use one of those categories, but that's going to be at your own risk. That's going to allow you to have more flexibility. It's going to probably allow you to have products on there. It's going to allow you to have services. It's going to allow you more flexibility in what you can do. However, I wouldn't recommend it because you run the risk of getting your listing suspended a lot quicker than you would if, it was in the right category, right? And that's kind of a dangerous road to go on because sometimes it's hard to get them unsuspended, especially for specific violations. I've had clients get suspended for silly things like accidentally posting a photo as a customer when they meant to upload it through the Google Business app, right? So they immediately got suspended and it took like weeks to get them unsuspended. So if you're getting traction, that um, definitely making sure that you don't get suspended because let's say, imagine that attorney gets suspended for a month, right? He's losing out on all of those calls that would be coming in. And that's kind of what's getting him back on track in his business. So, really important to make sure that you're doing everything you can to stay unsuspended and to stay relevant. And Kent says, I found tobacco shop works for head shops. Yep. That sells said hemp and vapes. Yep. Tobacco shops. That would work for those that aren't like the actual cannabis. And again, hemp and the CBD technically in what is it, California, Puerto Rico, they can actually advertise, but it has to be what is it like less than 0.03% of CBD. So there are gray areas, and this is why it's a little tricky, but it's really important to make sure that you're, I would stress out, following all of the regulations and following as much of that as you can, sticking to it because it's not worth it to be suspended. All right. Any other questions? If not, I'm very excited that you all came. And I'm very excited that, yeah, I'm just really excited that you're here. And I want to do the giveaway here. And we have, give me one second. I'm going to do a random pull. And bear with me one second. And I hope everybody that wanted to enter was able to enter here. I'm going to enter the names we have. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and see who's the winner. And I'll send you an email. Whoever ends up being the winner, it's Kent. Okay. Awesome. Yay. Okay. So, Kent, you are the winner of the Google Business Profile Optimization. And looking forward to that. I will email you and get in touch with you so we can go ahead and set that up and go through that optimization. So, if no one has any other questions, I thank you so much for being here. And I would love if you would share this with anyone that you know. I will have it as a recording in your email. So thank you so much. You're welcome, Jerron. Good seeing you. And I hope it was helpful for you. You're welcome, Ken. I hope you found it helpful. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you. I know we have a couple other things that we want to connect about. So definitely looking forward to that as well. Thank you guys. Have a great day.